teaching has its moments of glory and moments of eternity. What I mean by moments of eternity is what happens in a moment in a class could be preserved till the last breath of life. Such moments happen in a successful teacher's life. I was a student in a school. It was perhaps the 9th standard. My Kannada teacher used to come and teach me the Kannada version of Mahabharata. He's a very passionate teacher, very passionate teacher. He would come into the class with the spectacles on his forehead. Eyes were here, but the spectacle was here. He would never bring a textbook, because the whole textbook was by heart. We mortals would hold the books in our hand, and he had a very peculiar way of teaching. He would walk through the class between the benches, and we, holding the books in our hand, would look at him like a radar wherever he goes. There was a particular lesson of 8 verses of Mahabharata. The context was very simple. Dharmaraja played the dice, lost the dice, lost his kingdom, lost his army, lost his brothers, lost himself, and finally lost his wife. The moment Draupadi was lost, Karna said, Draupadi is no more the queen now. She is our dasi, servant. Call her to the darbar. She did not stay in the palace. Duryodhana, excited by this idea, told his brother Dushasana, go and drag her into the darbar. She has no right to stay in the palace. In Indian culture, a young brother-in-law is considered as a son. And here Dushasana goes there, holds her hair and drags her into the darbar of Dhritarashtra. Draupadi is helpless, comes into the darbar and looks around, finds all outstanding people there, Bhishma, Drona, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, father-in-law, mother-in-law, everybody is sitting there and nobody is in a position to help. Out of sheer frustration, she looks at her husbands. 5 husbands, one more powerful than the other. They are all sitting with their heads down, indicating we can't help you. What will the poor lady do? She begs everybody. When she finds that rescue is not coming from any quarter, she looks up and prays to God Krishna, asking for his help. These were the 8 verses we had. And my teacher would go on reciting those verses and walk through the benches. And we watched him. He must have taught this story at least 100 times. And in every class, the tears would roll down his cheek. We were also crying. It was a touching scene. And we all used to talk among ourselves. If anyone in the world has understood the suffering of Draupadi, it is only this sir, nobody else. And I remember one day, he was narrating the 4th verse. Such a touching verse. Draupadi looks up and calls Krishna, Lord, if there are 100 people gathered somewhere and a snake goes there, it may survive. Because out of 100 people, at least there will be one kind heart which will say, don't kill the serpent, leave it, let it go. Snake may survive. I am a woman who has come out to this great darbar. Out of all these people, can't there be one person who will come to my rescue and save me? God, if nobody can save me, only you should save me. She praises God. That was such a touching scene. My teacher was crying and all of us were crying. I could not control my emotions. I just sobbed. I sobbed. My teacher was looking somewhere. When he heard the sobbing sound, suddenly turned and looked into my eyes. At that moment, my moist eyes were caught in his moist eyes for all times to come. I could not extricate my eyes from his. Believe me honestly, at that time, I was not in the classroom. Physically, yes, I was in the classroom, but emotionally, I was in the darbar of Dhritarashtra. Like Bhishma, Drona, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya and all important leaders, I also had the first round seat. more than anything else. None of their heart was crying, but my heart was crying. I felt like telling Duryodhana, idiot, don't touch this lady. You'll be destroyed. The whole family will be washed out. Don't do that. Please watch, my friends. This is the power of brilliant speaking in the classroom. Speech is to be heard. It is an auditory medium. But when you speak well, it transcends the auditory boundary and becomes a visual boundary. You start seeing things for yourself. That is a moment of eternity. I still remember after 50 years, those glorious moments where we lived, enjoyed, cried together. This can happen only when a powerful creative teacher can mesmerize you, touch your heart. Remember, my friends, anything that goes to brain goes to a short-term memory. Anything goes to heart goes to a long-term memory. If education has to be enjoyable, not a suffering, it has to reach the heart. Yes, I know, it has to go to the brain as well. Go to the brain, but don't miss the heart. Reach the brain through the heart to meet these moments of eternity in your classroom. That makes the life of a teacher joyous and happy.